Howdy gang, welcome back to the channel. Are you searching for that classic mythical Marshall crunch tone on a budget? For decades, the Marshall Plexi has been the holy grail amp for rock and metal tones. But vintage Plexis are selling from like 3,000 bucks and upwards. They can go into stratospheric money these days. So getting that sound has been out of reach for most players. But that's until now. Meet the Hotone Ampero II Stage. This is a $700 digital amp modeling unit that claims to flawlessly replicate the sound of a Marshall Plexi and other iconic amplifiers. Today, we're putting that bold claim to the test by going head to head with my custom-built 50-watt Plexi head. Now this amp is absolutely amazing and one of my favorite amplifiers of all time. It's one of my favorite amps to play because the tone is so pure and it has that signature Marshall growl and grit, which I love so much. And it always leaves me with that feeling like my jaw has just dropped and hit the ground. So today we'll compare the Ampero to this vintage sounding beast across different genres and playing styles as well. Can this affordable lunchbox size modeler truly nail the tone of a $3,000 plus amp? Let's find out. So for this comparison, I recorded the 50-watt Marshall Plexi amp model from the Ampero straight onto a track in my Logic session, and at the same time I captured the DI of my playing as well with the Ampero, which is already built into the Ampero. You can actually split the signal off into the wet and dry and capture both at the same time, which is truly awesome. The Ampero has the ability built right in, so it was really quick and easy to do. I then used the DI track to reamp my real 50-watt Plexi. So the performance that you'll see and hear is exactly the same for both the Ampero and my amplifier. I used the high treble channel on both units and the same impulse response, the green one cab from my signature impulse response track on both tracks. There was no post-processing like EQ or compression. I just added some delay and reverb for ambience, and I used my favorite guitars, my PRS Custom 24s, for all the recordings, as you'll see in the video. I recently did a video on these absolutely amazing guitars that you should definitely check out after watching this video. I'll be playing you the tracks in a full mix first, and then later in the video you will hear the isolated tracks as well without the effects as well, just a little bit of reverb on the guitars so that you can really hear what the sound of the Ampero and the amp are like for yourselves. Alrighty, let's jump straight into the tracks. As you heard from the intro track, both of these sound pretty damn cool, pretty close as well. But first up, let's see how the Ampero and the Plexi compare on some clean and edge-up break-up tones, perfect for soft rock. The Ampero's clean tone is really impressive. Full, authentic grit when digging in, but still retaining nice clarity. The Plexi definitely has more natural dynamics and responsiveness, but the Ampero impressively captures a lot of that Marshall vibe at a fraction of the cost. Advantage Plexi, I think, on this one, on the sparkling cleans, but the Ampero gets surprisingly close for just 700 bucks, right? Before I play you the next example, I'd like to tell you about the fantastic screen protector which I have on my Ampero. This screen protector was made by Tim at TRM Products, and it's a perfect addition to my Ampero Stage to protect my screen against any scratches or damage. Especially when you're playing live and on stage, it's really important to protect that screen, right? It's made from tough plastic, plexiglass essentially, and it essentially turns it into a plexi, right? And it pivots on these awesome hinges so that you can open up the screen, do all your touch screeny stuff, and then pop it back down, and it protects the screen again. It locks into place with a couple of little Velcro buttons on the edges here. And if you'd like to check it out, head over to the TRM website. I shall leave a link in the description box below. And if you use the code on screen, you'll also get a nice little discount on this screen protector as well. So check it out. Okay, let's get back to the Ampero versus the amp. All right, it's time to crank up the gain for some high gain rhythm and lead tones. This is where the legendary Marshall Crunch really shines. So let's have a listen to the track first. Wow, that was pretty cool, wasn't it? The Ampero's high gain tone is shockingly close to the real Plexi. It nails that snarling, authoritative Marshall grind. You can hear that the Plexi's tone has more harmonic complexity and rawness, but the Ampero captures the essence remarkably well, in my opinion. The Plexi's edge may come from the real transformers and also the power tubes and the distortion happening in the power section. I actually have 6 CA7 tubes in the power section of this amp, which are a little bit different from the EL34s, which the Marshall Plexi amp model on this is probably based on. And the other thing is, I have Mullard tubes in the preamp section of my Plexi, and they make a huge difference to the overall tone of the amp. When I built the amp and first tubed it, I did go through quite a few tubes to find the perfect one to bring out the best in this amplifier. So this one's kind of like hot rodded with the tubes as well. But for recording or playing live, the Ampero's high gain patch is an absolutely viable alternative to dropping $3,000 on a vintage amp, right? One of the most signature characteristics of a crank Plexi is that glorious decay and bloom when chords are let to ring out. Let's see how the Ampero's modeling handles these open chord decays. Even on these spacious open chord blooms, the Ampero does an impressive job modeling the Plexi's haunting amp-driven ambience and liquidy decay. You can definitely hear that the Plexi has more complex harmonic trails and a deeper, more three-dimensional decay. There's something kind of just grainy and a specific thing, you know, it kind of like decays but blooms at the same time. And that's something which kind of I didn't hear on the Ampero when I was listening to the trails. The Plexi just has a unique thing going on when that happens. It's pretty special, and I've always heard that when I've played the Plexi, but the Ampero gets pretty damn close to it. And in a mix, I don't think most people would actually notice the difference between the two. But for a digital modeler, the Ampero captures the vibe shockingly well, an area where I think a lot of amp modelers would probably struggle. With a little bit of added reverb, you'd be shocked this lush decay isn't coming from an actual amp. So there you have it, folks, the $700 Hotone Ampero II Stage going head to head against my custom built Plexi 50 watt. And the results are nothing short of jaw-dropping, I think. While the Plexi does have an edge with its richer, more authentic harmonic qualities and the unmatched dynamic feel, the Ampero offers an impressively convincing digital replica of the classic Marshall tone and the vibe as well for a fraction of the price. For players that can't swing for a vintage Plexi or even a custom build or need a portable solution for recording and gigging, the Ampero, I think, represents an affordable way to finally get those legendary tones in a compact and really practical package. I would love to hear your thoughts about the tones that you heard today from both my amp and also the Ampero. So please do leave a comment and let me know. Also, remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy videos like this. It sure is appreciated. And if you would like to check out the tones of my actual Plexi on your own Ampero, then you can check out my Ampero Stage Signature preset pack, which includes my personal Plexi tone. The link is in the description box below, and you'll also find some free presets which you can play around with and enjoy as well. And finally, here are the isolated tones for you guys to check out and enjoy also. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you really soon with another awesome video.